Hi guys, it's Josh Lloyd here to preview Wednesday's NBA slate. 12 games on, an absolute big boy. Before I get into the big boy, go and hit subscribe, hit the bell, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. Let's talk about the games now. Let's start off with the first game. It is the Indiana Pacers and the Charlotte Hornets. The spread or total is not out for this one at this point because Domantas Sabonis is questionable. Now, if Sabonis is out, it means there's a ton of usage to go other spots. Miles Turner, Jeremy Lamb, Doug McDermott, although McDermott struggled last game. Lamb would probably move into the starting lineup and push McDermott up to the 4. But there is some real interesting things happen if Sabonis doesn't play. LaMelo Ball's at 6,200. The recent numbers for LaMelo haven't been fantastic for Charlotte. Just 20 points in the last game and averaging just 22 across his last 4. That's not really getting it done at 6,000. I think we can find better options out there. Jeremy Lamb at 51 is one of those better options, especially if Sabonis is out. Now, he's shooting way above his head, but for now, and the extra opportunity that could be afforded to him, I do like him here. Gordie Hayward's at 75. Love that value for Hayward. He's just churning out big boy game after big boy game, while Paul Washington Jr. at 6,400 is a fade, and 7,500 for Miles Turner looks much better if Sabonis is out. I think it's pretty good otherwise, but it's excellent if Sabonis is out, as is the 8,600 that you'd have to pay to get big Malcolm Brogdon into your lineup. The second game that we take a look at, we've got the Detroit Pistons taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs are 3.5-point favorites here in this one. The total, we're looking at 215 points. Derrick Rose is back, likely back, is probable. Blake Griffin is out, while Larry Nance is listed as questionable. He's missed the last couple for Cleveland. Darius Garland should be off his minutes restriction now. He's at 4,600. He should be back starting as well. I like taking that flyer on Garland at that very, very low salary. While Sexton's numbers have also come down. He's at 6,600. He's averaging just 30 points over the last 3. The matchup, I think, does suit Sexo here. In fact, it suits the whole Sexland backcourt, and I think both of those guys have some value. Andre Drummond's at 84, going up against his former team, but realistically, it's just going to come down to how many minutes he plays and how much Jared Allen plays. The 8,400's okay for a GPP scenario. He could drop 50 in 28 minutes, Drummond. We've seen him do it before, but I wouldn't feel super confident. Jeremy Grant's up at 8,100. That's possibly a little bit too high, but I'm not writing him off. And then with Blake Griffin, Sadiq Bey will likely start, but doesn't mean he'll likely do anything. I'd be more interested in guys like Wayne Ellington at 4,900, who's putting up some really good numbers at the moment, the Duke. Putting up 30 in each of the last 2 games and 26 and 25 in the games before that. Really getting a ton of shots off, and it's working out pretty well. Delon Wright's at 6,500, so they've boosted his salary quite a bit, but with the return of Rose paired with that increased salary, I find that maybe a little bit off color to get him involved in your lineup. Next game, the Kings, the Magic. The Magic are 1-point favorites. The total is 221. Cole Anthony is at 5,500. He looks a lot better at the moment. I'm okay with using him more as a cash play, but I'm okay with some tournament upside. And then De'Aaron Fox, that salary is a lot for Foxy, 8,700. Now, he's playing well. He's averaging 45 over the last 5, but I reckon it might be on the high side, while Nikola Vucevic at 9,200. He's just doing everything for the Magic, so that looks pretty good to me. And Aaron Gordon at 7,700 is also putting up the good numbers. Interestingly, Gordon's listed as a point guard small forward on DraftKings, and he plays as the power forward. So, make of that what you will. Halliburton's at 5,200. No thank you. Fournier at 6,400. Yeah, all right, but I'm not sure the massive upside is there. Same with Rashawn Holmes at 66 and Harrison Barnes at 6,200. That's the 3 early games out of the way. Let's now have a look at the next game. It's one of the better games you'd see, or we'd hope to see, I guess, in the Eastern Conference, although the Raptors haven't been playing up to that level so far this season. We've got the Raptors hosting the Milwaukee Bucks down in Tampa. Of course, no spread or total for this one. Chris Boucher's at 6,500. Hasn't been performing at that level. Let's see how we can go up against a Brook Lopez type center. I'm probably going to fade of Boucher here. I do like Yanni at 10,700. This is an opportunity for him to play some big minutes. And Lowry's at 7,500. Still dealing with that toe problem. Probably leave him out of it. Van Vliet at 79 looks good, while Pascal Siakam is questionable. If Siakam's out, then you go to Norm Powell at 6,100, who always seems to get bigger production when he's coming in as a starter versus when he's coming in off the bench. 8,200 for Chris Middleton looks all right. I wouldn't say it's the best option out there, especially for tournament upside, but I do like it for its cash value. While OG Anunoby at 66 is the opposite. That's more of a tournament play rather than a cash option, but I'm still not into it. I'm not into Bobby Portis really either because I do think it's going to be close, and in close games, Bobby Portis doesn't play as much. That is just how the Bucks roll most of the time. Let's go on to the next game. We're looking at the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat in this game. Looks like Michael Porter's going to come off the bench again, which is frustrating. Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic, and Avery Bradley are all questionable, while Jimmy Butler is out once again. Bam Adebayo's at 8,600. Love what he's doing. Really good floor play. Solid enough tournament value as well, but really love that for cash games for Bam at 8,600. Porter's at 7,000. I'm not really fussed if he comes off the bench. He's putting up some strong numbers. Hero at 7,000 is too expensive. I don't like Barton. Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic, 10,500. Looks awesome. Now, his recent production has dropped a little bit. Hasn't been a huge drop, but it has dropped a little bit. He only had 43 points in the last game. But a couple of 60-pluses and then one there under 60 in the last 4, which are okay. But I think the general idea is that you would be pretty happy to get Jokic into a lineup. Whether you want to spend 2,000 more than Bam Adebayo remains to be seen. I probably would still take Bam at that cheaper price, but Jokic is obviously awesome. Jamal Murray, really hard to get excited about using him at this point. He's just too inconsistent for mine, even though he did get ejected last game, so that's going to bring his recent averages down. Next up, we're looking at the Brooklyn Nets and the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks on a back-to-back here. We've got the Nets with, of course, whatever's going on with those big names up front. Cam Reddish missed Tuesday's game. I don't know whether he's going to be ready here. I would have some doubts whether Danilo Gallinari is going to play on a back-to-back. Irving's at 8,800, tournament only, not much more excitement there, but I do like Kevin Durant at 10,300. Looks pretty strong to me. Durant's getting those numbers regularly. Well, Jimmy Harden's at 10,100. Now, Harden's last 3 games against Atlanta, he's averaging 76 fantasy points. I don't think he's going to have that many. I don't really like him outside of a tournament look, and even then, not massively. Kevin Huerter at 6,000 is too high. John Collins at 77 is not one that I'm going to be overly excited about. And then Clint Capella at 91. Well, the Nets don't have a center who's going to be able to match up against Capella. So I think Clint at that sort of price, the Kerner, 9,100, looks pretty bloody good to me. The next game we look at here is the Los Angeles Lakers. They are taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Pretty excited to see this matchup, to be honest. We don't know the status of LeBron James, and I say that completely in jest. He's listed as questionable. Of course, he's going to play. Seth Curry is probable. Joel Embiid is probable, and Anthony Davis is probable. Curry at 47 is a good GPP option, but I do love Embiid. 9,400 here. When he's not injured, he's just putting up big boys consistently. While Davis at 9,000 is also a very, very good price for a very talented player. I'm not worried about his injured tag. They both look pretty good. 9,900 for LeBron. LeBron is averaging 52 over the last 5, which is pretty strong. It looks all right. I think I'd prefer Embiid and Davis personally. Toby Harris at 7,200, really, really solid floor sort of play, good cash option here. And not much else massively standing out to me in that matchup between the Lakers and the Sixers. No spread or total out for that one at this point either. Next game we take a look at is the Boston Celtics. They are taking on the San Antonio Spurs here. One of the later games, Kemba Walker is back, so we're going to see Kemba, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown all play together for the first time this season. Kemba's at 6,300, interesting GPP option. DeJounte Murray at 66, interesting GPP option. DeRozan at 71 is one that really stands out to me. Now, his numbers recently haven't been particularly good, but at 7,100, I really like that for DeRozan, and 6,000 for Aldridge is not one I'm interested in. I'd also have some hesitancy in Jaylen Brown at 87 or Jason Tatum at 87 for Tatum and 83 for Jaylen Brown. I'm a little bit off on both of those. I just think those prices are a bit too high, and just we've got to see how they work together. Now, obviously, Brown's been putting up great numbers, but they are prices above 80, and we need them to be dropping 40, 45 points to make that worthwhile, and I'm not sure it's there. 6,800 for Marcus Smart. He's been on a real roll, but again, finding enough value with those other guys around is tough. And then Daniel Tice, who's also been playing really well. 5,300 for Tice. He dropped 39 last game, but if Kemba's back, it's going to push one of those big men out of the starting lineup. Maybe it's Tice, maybe it's Thompson. But that means that 3 centers have to go into 48 minutes, and that's going to be harder to work out. And Tice's value, I think, then is going to be clipped somewhat. The Celtics here are 3.5-point favorites, and the total 225 points. The next game is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Phoenix Suns. We don't have Devin Booker or Dario Saric for Phoenix, but Al Horford could be returning for Oklahoma City, of course. If Horford is out, we look at Isaiah Roby. 4,800 for Cam Johnson. Big opportunity for him here, of course, without Devin Booker. He's going to get another start and put up some numbers, while Ayton's at 7-3, and I really like that for DeAndre Ayton. His last couple of games have been really, really good. 39 in the last game, 48 in the game before that, 62 the game before that. And without Devin Booker, he's going to get a few more touches. And I also like Chris Paul without Devin Booker. We'll play some extra minutes, and at 7,600, it looks pretty good. Don't completely discount a bloke by the name of Abdul Nadir. Now, no one's going to use this bloke. But his minimum salary, he played 24 minutes last game. He could have 20 points, 21 points. Now, maybe that's a stretch. But at $3,000, when no one's going to roster him, I'm not completely against it. Horford's at 56. We don't know if he's going to play, but the salary's all right, at least in a tournament setting. While Gilgeous-Alexander at 8,500. We don't know if George Hill's going to play. Gilgeous-Alexander has been playing at a really high level, averaging 47 over his last three. Good value, good floor play for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander there. The next game up, the Dallas Mavericks. They're taking on the Utah Jazz in this one. The Jazz on a back-to-back. The Mavericks are going to welcome back some COVID people. Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Dwight Powell are going to return. I love Rudy Gobert at 7,200 here. That is just so cheap of a price for Gobert. And Porzingis at 82 looks all right as well. Not as good as that Gobert price, though. 10,900 for Luka Doncic. We've seen what he's been doing of late, and that's been big numbers. 66-point average over the last three. Now, normally the Jazz defense would give you some worry, but it is a back-to-back, so maybe that stifles that problem. While Conley at 6-1 is not going to be for me, and Don Mitchell at 84 is probably a little bit on the high side on a back-to-back. I'm not sure I'd want to spend that much. I also think Jordan Clarkson is probably priced a little bit too high for my tastes as well. The next game, another team on a back-to-back, the Washington Wizards taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. No spread or total at this point. Alex Len at 34. With all the absences in Washington, there's at least an option there for him. And it is a back-to-back, so I don't expect Russell Westbrook to play. So Cassius Winston, 3,100 for Winston. Not saying that we need to get super heavy on him, but if Hal Neto's on a minutes limit or is out, if Russell Westbrook is out, who the hell else is the point guard? Because Ish Smith's already out. So Winston at 3,100, that could be one of the guys you're looking at. Garrison Matthews at 4,400 looks all right. And then you also go to guys like Anthony Gill at minimum salary who drew the start on Tuesday. And I think we'll probably get another start on Wednesday. For the Pelicans side of things, Zion at 78, I do really like that one for Zion at that price tag. He's just probably limited upside, but really safe floor. Ingram at 8,000 is too expensive, and Beal at 10.2, he's going to get an absolute shit ton of shots. So I think this is a really good opportunity at that 10,000 mark to get Beal in. There are a lot of really good high-priced players who don't seem to be priced up as much as they potentially should. The last game of the day, no Karl Anthony Towns, no Juancho Hernan-Gomez, and D'Angelo Russell is questionable for the Wolves as they take on the Warriors. They were pantsed the last time these two teams met on Monday. James Wiseman will come off the bench again, so Kevon Looney at minimum salary. Can he get 17 points, 18 points? Maybe. I don't think it's a complete fool's errand to chase Looney there. And again, with 12 games on, not many people are going to be rostering him. Steph's at 93. That looks really strong. Well, Kelly Oubre's at 59. He tore them up last time. Not hard to tear up this Wolves defense. So that gives him some value there. While Wiggins had 43 against his former team and another pretty solid option here. I wouldn't want to use Wiseman, but I would want to consider Jared Vanderbilt at 5,400. Vanderbilt's been putting up some solid enough numbers. 28 points in his last game, 37 before that, 27 the one before that. That's a relatively safe floor with a decent ceiling. Now, he is prone to foul trouble, so that is something we do have to pay attention to, but he has been putting up some pretty impressive performances, and he's worth looking at. Malik Beasley's at 67. I like that if Russell's out especially, and then Rubio at 5,400. He hasn't been playing that well, but if Russell's out, Rubio at 5,400, relatively safe floor. And then if the shots start to go in, he could be a 35-point player. And at 5,400, I think there's a fair chunk of value in that for Ravishing Rick. That'll do it for me today. First look, DraftKings. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell down below. You get all of mine, get all of Al's videos here on the channel. You can see my other channel as well, Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball, linked in the description and in the title. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.